Good morning, good morning, good morning. I know that sounds way more chipper than I really feel. I was awakened this morning by the dog going bananas because the police were across the street. I think I told you all about the guy on the bike that I caught snooping into cars. And I tried to tell all my neighbors, lock your cars, lock your cars. I called the police about that guy. Anyway, I think they actually had one of their cars broken into. So I did try to warn everybody. And I've been watching for that guy. He didn't show up on our camera. Anyway, so that was an exciting way to wake up this morning. I have so much news. I have so many things I want to say. I have so many things I want to show. Oh my gosh, where to start? I know it's Friday morning and a lot of you are busy working or doing other things. So I'm going to wait a few minutes to tell you about Close to My Heart because I know that a lot of you want to hear that news. So I'll wait a few minutes. But anyway, today I want to show you how I do assembly line cards. And this is how I approach all of my cards. I find a cool card that I want to make, whether it's on the internet or I've seen somebody in a reel or it's just something I made up or whatever. And I create a template for it. And so when I made these B cards, I made 3 different types of fun folds. And so I just thought today I'm going to show you how I do this. And we'll just cut paper and I'll show you how I made these. So the 3 folds that I chose is this one, which is like a double flip flap. So it opens to the left and then the inside opens to the right. I'm sure you've seen that card before. None of these are my own creation. These are things that have been around for years and years and years. And I just thought, oh, that's fun. And I like to give cards that people, you know, have fun opening. So the second one is just a side fold. And this one I may or may not cut today. This one's a 12-inch piece of paper. I can show you how to cut that. And then this one is like a W fold. It's just a real simple folded card with these fun pieces on the inside that kind of pop out when the person opens the card. So I just thought that would be kind of a fun thing to do. So I'm going to, I want to talk just for a minute about this bee situation. So I don't mind taking screenshots or even a video of these where you can play it back and look at each layer of how I did it in case you want to duplicate it exactly. That's fine. But I don't have a second pack of this to recut and show you, you know, how I cut all the papers. So let me show you what comes in the pack. Here's my templates. I'm going to put those aside just for a second. So I know, this is cruel. Hi, Heather. And I can see someone else is on here, but I can't see who. I don't know why. Say hello so I know who you are. Anyway, so the other thing, Echo Park has these bundles, and I don't know why I'm such a sucker for them, but I am. And they'll sell like this entire bundle for like $29. Sometimes it's cheaper depending on they have specials all the time. And sometimes it's cheaper to buy each individual part. Sometimes it's cheaper. Well, hi, Linda. Look at this one. This one I was super drawn to. It's called Have a Nice Day. And I just fell in love with it. Look at this. Yeah, if you sign up for their emails, I swear to you, you'll get an email almost every day with a new special, a new warehouse special, a new whatever. Anyway, so each bundle usually has a sticker sheet. It usually has at least one, sometimes two ephemera packs. Sometimes it'll have ephemera and a dot or a dot pack or something. It has the solids that coordinate with it. Now, the problem with their solid pack, I don't love their cardstock, but I love their patterns. The problem with their solid pack, in my opinion, just my opinion, is that it's a little flimsy. Like if I wanted to make a card base out of this, I don't think this would be very strong. So that's why I add my own white card base, and then I use this for decoration. And then these are two-sided. So you get 2 sheets of 3, how do I want to say it? You get 6 sheets, okay? And you get 6 different colors, but they are two-sided. So if you fall in love with one color, like I don't necessarily want to use peach, I'll use the green, right? Okay, so anyway, I used 3 sheets, 1 of each color of the bee print, and I still have 3 sheets left from that. So that's what I'll cut today just to show you. Now the other thing is, all right, let me open this. This one, you know what? I feel like I need to scrapbook with this one, not just make cards, although I have some really great ideas for cards with this. So one of the things I like to do is use the 6x6 for card making, and then I'll use the 12x12 for scrapbooking, and I add my own cardstock, and then it becomes a full kit, which is really great. So one of the things that is cool about their 6x6 pad is it's the same print as their 12x12. It's just smaller. So for example, the smiley faces on their 12x12 sheet, they're bigger prints. So let me just pull one out and show you what I'm talking about. I'm not selling Echo Park. I just know this is my thing. After I showed those bee papers, I ended up like answering questions for hours from people who had questions about them, and it made me think, well, I just need to show them, you know. Okay, so like here's the flower print in the 6x6, and here's the flower print in the 12x12. So you can see why this print really works a lot better, you know, for making cards. And so I used an entire pack, except for 2 sheets of this. And I didn't even pull out any of these. I did use the sticker sheet, and yeah, I don't even think I used anything from my 12x12 bee pack. So you have a whole, you know, 12 sheets of this, and you have this whole thing of this. And so this is what I cut down for my cards. Now the pages that have all the little doodads on them, like this, I did not cut those down until I was ready to decorate. It helps me decide what I can use, what I don't want to use. Like these are perfect for inside of those, inside of these right here. These little squares, you could just pop, 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 and you have one in each place, or you have maybe each card gets a little message and the others get the little images. And so that's kind of what I did with these. So as I went through, I just pulled all of the sheets out, and these style I did not cut down. I set those aside for when I decorated. And you can see there's quite a few. There's 2 of each thing. So, and I did end up like, I may not want to use Smiles All Around. I may not want to use that green. I used the back of it. It's sun. It's the sun print. You know what I mean? It's like, just know that you can make those decisions as you go, because you don't have to make them all identical cards, right? All right, so that's what I did with the bee print, and I love this one, and I'm seriously thinking of doing the same thing with this one. But just not to confuse you, here's what I did. Let me put this aside. I took what was left of my bee kit. I had 2 sheets of bee paper left of the small. I took all my big 12 by 12 sheets and I cut them so that I had a few 6 by 6s, just to show you like what I did. Now the issue is, of course, when you make the cards, some of the images are pretty big. I mean, when you make a card, you know, the bees and the hives are much larger, but I still think they'll work just fine. Look at those. Oh my God, they're so cute. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to get up into that octave. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to save these. I'm not sure why. Maybe scrapbooking, maybe something. The other thing I pulled out, I don't have those little 6 by 6 pieces. This is what I had left. And this little piece right here was one that I pulled out of my scraps from Close to My Heart. It's Sundance color, and look at that. It's a perfect match. And I was like, oh, I could pull more out of my stash if I need it, right? I also used almost all of the stickers. So look at my sticker sheet. There's like nothing left on it. I used almost everything. So I have a few things left, lots of little messages, right, that I could use. So I can use those if I need to. And these little scraps are super usable. Super usable. These little tiny pieces and parts, you might think, ugh, I'm just gonna throw them all away, because who wants to keep a little scrap? You know, like, look at this. Look what I saved. Isn't that crazy? But I use these on my cards like this. Like, I'll add a border or, you know, put something across the inside of my card like this, or, you know, I use these scraps a lot. So I just kind of collect all the scraps as I go. And, you know, there's a few slivers I've thrown away, but this sliver, for example, just happened to turn into the cutest little bees, right? And I was like, okay, that would be adorable on the edge of the card or something. I can totally use those little bees. And so, yeah, I kept all the parts and pieces. When I am done, like when I get to the point where this is all I have left of all of the paper and I have no stickers, I'll just throw this away. I'm not going to keep this forever. This is crazy. I don't store stuff like this, but it is a great way to start. And this is the pack if any of you are like, you know, wanting to make the bee collection. I do, because it came with 6 sheets, I was able to, you know, I used 3 to make my cards, and here's 3 more, and they're 2-sided. So I'll show you how I cut those down also. All right, so let me get some of these out of the way. So I have the sheets that I cut into 6 by 6, just so it kind of mimics what you would have, not quite the same in volume. And then I have my 3 sheets, and I'll show you how I cut those down, just to do assembly line style. Okay. I'm gonna set that aside. See, my daughter got me coffee. Oh my gosh, bless her, bless her. You guys might remember Steve brought me home like a humongous stack of white cardstock. I've given a lot of it away to you. It's a weirdo size. This size is like, it's something like, it won't even fit in my trimmer. It's like 12, what is it? It's 13 by 9 1/4. I don't know. When they make certain when they print certain things, sometimes this is their waste. This is what they throw in the dumpster. Can you even imagine? This is heavy cardstock. This is heavy. This is, I would almost venture to guess that this is like White Daisy, because there's not very many paper companies in the United States anymore. It's pretty close to the same color. This is a little whiter. This is a little grayer white, but it still looks white, right? Weight-wise, pretty equal. So use what you've got. 8.5 by 11. I ended up cutting a lot of these down by 8.5 by 11. That's how I end up with all those crazy white strips. All right. Since you guys are here, you probably want to hear about Close to My Heart. Before I get started, let me talk about Close to My Heart. I'm going to cut the, well, I don't want to cut and talk at the same time because that's very hard for me. I don't seem to be able to do it. So let's talk about Close to My Heart. While I do that, I'll just open these cards and you can screenshot them. How's that? Because then you can look back and mute me and freeze the video if you decide you want to recreate these. Anyway, so Close to My Heart. Monica and Sarah came on last night and they were together and they talked about how they met. It was so interesting, you guys. Several of you from Stampin' Up, I added these dots, by the way. Several of you from Stampin' Up have said you kind of feel like Sarah is a little less friendly than her mom, and that may be true, but she's the one who called Monica to start with and said, you know, we're both, you know, CEOs of companies, presidents of companies, we're both in charge of an awful lot of people, and pulling together, you know, we're in the same industry, you know, let's meet for lunch and let's become friends. I tell you what, that story was so touching and wonderful. I was like crying. My husband was like, what is wrong with you? I was like, I don't know. I was like, isn't this nice? It was really touching. It really was. And then they met 2 years ago. And they have gotten together and they have been friends ever since. And so they meet for lunch once in a while. They hang out a little bit. They are both in Utah, you know. And so they had no idea when they met 2 years ago that any of this would happen. It was, oh, good. Heather, that's very nice. I find her to be very genuine and she's very straightforward, which I appreciate because I'm a straightforward person. I don't like playing games. I don't like hiding things from people. I like to tell you what I think and my opinion, and you can argue with me and I'll listen, you know, and I might change my mind, but I do like to be straightforward. You can tell this is one where I ended with little scraps that I just cut into strips. I didn't have a whole lot left, but those little scraps, look at that. Isn't that cute? Anyway, so yeah, they've been friends for a while. And then when Jeanette announced it was time, she wanted to close, they got together with Sarah and talked about it. And they're like, maybe we can work something out. So last night they officially signed all of the legal paperwork. Everything's official now. And Stampin' Up! Has officially purchased the rights to use several of the patents of Close to My Heart. See how I use like a little strip there, a little strip there? So in the future, in the way future, it may be a year or two even, they did buy the patent for the magnetic ink pads. So you know how Stampin' Up's pads kind of slide and flip? This just opens. Mine are always a disaster, sorry. But these just snap shut. They're so easy to use. And I have some customers who have arthritis in their hands and they can't open the Stampin' Up! Ones. So I'm not sure. I'm not in a big hurry to buy new ink. I can tell you that. I love getting new colors. That's not the problem. I just don't. I hope they use the ink pads. Albums. Now, for some reason, Sarah called them binders. Maybe because she's not a scrapbooker, but in the video she said they're going to carry the close to my heart page protectors, the flip flaps, yay, and binders. That's what she said. I'm only assuming that that means at least the 3-ring ones. I'm not really sure of her terminology. And Monica did not correct her in any way when she was talking about that. So we'll wait and see. But yes, they're going to have some kind of album, obviously. Isn't that cute? Yeah. And so then she said for the month of May and June, they really want the Close to My Heart customers and the Close to My Heart makers to be like won over or, you know, bridged over happily. She wants everyone to be happy, and she realizes that their products, you know, don't fit every need. And so they're rapidly working on building their scrapbooking line. And she was kind of hinting at, I think she said somewhere around August-ish, July, August or so, they may have something that they're offering for Stampin' Up, but it wasn't set in stone. They're working on it feverishly. Today at like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Central Time, there's 2 leaders of Stampin' Up. Darned if I can't remember their name. It's a man and a woman. They're leaders in different departments. They are going to come on live at Close to My Heart. I have a little secret Close to My Heart room, and I am considering like recording that and showing that on like in my Facebook room just for you Stampin' Up people. If you would like to see it, you'll probably see it anyway. I just kind of feel like it's really more about how Close to My Heart consultants are going to be like brought over to Stampin' Up. There's not going to be any huge secrets about what they carry, and that's what we really care about, isn't it? We care about what product. So today, though, for everybody, including me, what happened was, isn't that cute? Close to My Heart sold all of their product that Stampin' Up wanted for the May-June catalog, because, you know, they had already started putting together the May-June catalog, pulling all of that product in and getting it into the office and stuff. And so Stampin' Up purchased all of the scrapbooking workshops, card making workshops, the paper pack sticker sheets, embellishments. You know, the whole, when you look at the catalog, let me grab one. Why do I not have a current catalog in front of my face? Wow, that's weird. Okay, so when you look at the paper collection, for example, they purchased the sticker and paper, the cardstock, the embellishments. I don't know about digital. I do not think they are doing digital, okay? I don't know. There's been a ton of questions about Cricut. None of them have been answered to us So that's something. And then they purchased, from my understanding, they purchased the card making, stamp and thin cuts, and the scrapbooking card and thin cuts that coordinate with that paper pack, as well as the scrapbook workshops and the card workshop. Now, we all know these are only going to be sold by Close to My Heart makers who have transitioned over. I think they bought the mix-in pack too, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, these are only going to be sold by Close to My Heart makers, and this is why it was so important for you to have your email accurate, because they want to know that you're a Close to My Heart customer. Only Close to My Heart customers are going to be able to have access to those items. And they're releasing them not as a 2-month catalog. They're going to release May paper suite in May. And then they're going to release June's paper and card suite in June. So we're going to have something new in May and something new in June. And then it sounds like July, they're working on something. I don't know whether they'll have something ready for July, but if not, you know, we have plenty of stuff we can deal with. And there's a lot of really great, Stampin' Up! Has a whole new catalog that starts in May or June. Is it May? And so we'll have a whole variety of things to pick from, to play with as well. And I'm excited about the scrapbooking thing. I wanted, you know, my backup plan was to do stuff like this, scrapbooking workshops using paper packs that you purchase other places. I can still do a little bit of that. It kind of breaks the Stampin' Up! Rules. If you turn me in, I just quit Stampin' Up! That's just how that works. And I don't care who you buy from. I am not, you know, with Close to My Heart, it's always been for fun for me, and I appreciate everybody who supports me and lets me continue to be a maker. But, you know, if you are a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, or you have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator that you've purchased from, you know, for a long time, or that you're close to, good Lord, don't leave them. Don't stop. I am not trying to build some mega business here. I really appreciate all of you. And I just want you to keep with me, you know? So anyway, that's that. So, okay, today at 3 p.m. Mountain, I believe. I put it in my notes. The entire rest of the May-June catalog is going up for sale on the website. There is a limit of 1 per person. So I can't buy a bunch of stuff for all of you. Also, a bunch, not all, of the re-inkers and ink pads are coming back into stock. I think what happened yesterday when I was able to snag some of those ink pads and re-inkers for you guys is that went on by mistake. Like, it got loaded. It's, you know, it was the middle of the night. It was a weird fluky thing that I even saw it. I ordered what I could. I am getting them. I have a shipping notice already. I know that's something weird, but I think that what happened was they were holding it for this release. And so today I figured we'll all break the internet, because we're all going to sign on there at the same time, try to get those cute little dogs and that cute little game night and maybe the flowers. I want to recreate some of the artwork. I did screenshots of a lot of that is available, but it's not everything. So a few of you have messaged me with a few things like, is this going to be there? Is this going to be there? And so I put the list at the top. If there's something you've got your eye on, so that you can see. All right. Does that help? I hope that helps. And Monica said they are not in any kind of shape to do pre-orders. they don't have the system set up to do that. And so I understand that. And at some point they are going out of business. I mean, they can't just keep reordering. So I think this will be the last batch of reinkers and inks of these colors that they're offering. There are still a few that aren't in yet. Now, I almost forgot the most important thing. I was like, what? The thing that piqued my interest during this presentation was that Sarah said when they release the suites with have the, the papers of scrapbooking, blah, 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 all of that, it's also going to have coordinating ink pads. That's all she said. She didn't say what kind, what brand, what colors, how this was going to work. She just said, in addition to, the cardstock pack and the paper pack and the stickers and blah, 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 they're also going to have coordinating ink pads available. And it sounded like close to my heart ink pads. So what's that about? That should be interesting. So maybe instead of releasing all the ink pads that are trying to be made for us, they're going to continue to sell some of them after. I just don't know. There is no answers, but wow, that was intriguing. Okay, I've talked for half an hour. That's enough. Okay, let's get cutting. All right, so the first card we're going to make is what I call a two-fold flip flap. I have to, honestly, sometimes I draw a little sketch on the outside of my envelope because they all start sounding like the same card over and over. So what I do is on my template, I want you all to make a template with me. I'm going to make an extra template for JJ's mom. So I'm just going to take the first thing we need for this card is a base of 4 1/4 by 11. And so I'm going to move this so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to raise my camera, which makes it harder for me to see your comments, okay? But I have to cut this paper down. So this is 4 1/4 by 11. All right. So here is one base. I'm just going to put that in my template pile. And what I usually do is I do 2 of them. So now I have these scraps, and then I put this in a pile off to the side because I'm going to make more than one card, right? So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to make a couple more of these 4 1/4. 4 1/4 and 4 1/4 is 8 1/2. So I go to 8 1/2 and I slide over to 4 1/4. And when I chop that in half, I have 2. So I like to make 4 of each item. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to cut one more. All right. I'm going to end up with an extra template. Maybe I'll give those to somebody as a gift or something. Anyway, so I have 4 bases, and I used the minimal amount of paper that I could. And then my next piece that I need, the next thing I need to do is I need to trim 2 3/4 from the front. So what happens is when you fold these cards in half, let me get my bone folder out. You don't have to score if you don't want to, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and just do these so you can see how I assembly line make them. I'm gonna fold these bases in half, just like this. This may be a long video because I think it took me 3 hours to actually make all of my cards, and that includes cutting bases. But sometimes I will just sit and cut bases, you know, and have them all ready to roll, and keep them with my template, you know. Okay, so we need to cut 2 3/4 off of the front of the card. So when the card opens, this part right here. So I'm going to put it in at 2 3/4 and I'm going to chop. Now, this is what you end up with. You end up with this like little half front. This little piece that you cut off will end up here. Do you see that? Just like that. So I'm going to put those together. Let's cut a whole bunch of them. Let's cut all 4 of them, 2 3/4. And now I have this one, that's number 2, 2 3/4. You can see this goes very quickly. And this one, 2 3/4. All right. So I have 4 cards. Now I could just stop there. That's a fun fold. That's just fun by itself, right? Isn't that cool? I could stop, but this particular card has an inner fold also, and it really, I think, adds to it. Now this piece is 3.5 by 10 folded in half. So I'm going to take this and cut it at 10 inches. And then I am going to do, you know, 2 3.5 inch pieces. 3.5 and 3.5 is 7. And so I cut it at 7 and 3.5. I just slide it. This trimmer is really nice for that. Some people have a different style of trimmer. Okay, so I'm going to cut it at 10. Was it 10? Oh yeah, had to double check. All right, and then I rotate it and I cut it at 7 and at 3.5. And by that way I get 2 more pieces. Now I have 4. I have 4 inners that just need to be folded in half. So I am just going to lightly press each of these. I just want to make sure they're straight. So notice these are not all perfect and wonderful, but when you stack these up, these unperfect, unwonderful folds, and you bone fold them in a stack, look what happens. They all turn perfect and wonderful. It saves me a lot of time to do them, you know, as a stack. Now I'm just divvying them out into my cards that I've made. So here's, you know, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just gonna shuffle those out. I have 4 of those cards ready to decorate. Right? Okay, there's that one. Okay, so was that even 5 minutes? I'm not really sure. Okay, I'm just gonna put this, on my pile off to the side, just so I know what I made. Okay, this flip flap one takes a bigger sheet of paper, if I remember right. Nope, I guess not. Okay. Oh, yeah, this one's really easy. This one's really easy. Okay, so you take 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to cut 2 at a time because my trimmer is heavy duty that way. So I'm going to cut it down to 11 and 8.5. Now I'm going to do that to a couple of others. Sorry, I had to grab more paper out of my stash. So you probably already have 8.5 by 11 paper. I mean, this is that paper that Steve gave me. So, okay. Maybe they're gonna make the spots. Oh, that's an interesting idea. All right, so these 8.5 by 11, what you need to do is fold them in half. and then fold them in half the other direction. So we're gonna fold, open, and flip and fold. You want these to be flip-floppy. You want them to be able to be folded all over the place. And then we're gonna do it long ways as well. And what that does is it gives us like 4 quadrants. And again, you want them to be like flippy-floppy. So you want them to be like forward and backward and forward and backward. And look at that. So we're going to do that to all 4. It doesn't take a terrible long time, but I feel like sometimes it takes longer to make one card than it does to make like 4 of each. So I would rather just spend the time and do a few more. And it's even better if you're not going to decorate them all at once, you have the bases all made and ready, you know? So that's cool. I was going to see if I could fold 2 at a time, but I think this paper cardstock is way too thick to do that. All right. If I was using the Echo Park flimsy cardstock, it would work, but then my cards would be flimsy too. I don't know. I suppose I could, by the time you add layers and things, you know. So, all right. Now, I know a lot of you are probably like, just make one because we're not, you know, working alongside of you. You can just make one and show us what you're talking about and then move on. But I'm actually making cards today. So I have a plumber coming to finally put our kitchen faucets in. And so that's kind of a big deal for me. And I need to keep myself busy because it makes me nervous having people in the house. I hate having workers in the house. But so Steve is home. He will take care of the plumber. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna, on each one, we're gonna chop one corner off, and it doesn't matter which corner. And you can use your scissors if you prefer, but I'm basically just gonna cut, you know, down to the fold like that, and put this one in and cut down to the fold like that. Now you have this piece that is scrap that you can use for stamps and things like that. Now we have our card, and we have this flap. So whichever way you want your card flap, you know, it doesn't matter. If you turn your card this way and have it flap this direction, have it flap up and down, or, you know, whatever. But it's a little wide, and we need to take about 1/4 of an inch off of each side of the flip flap part. So I'm just gonna put it in my trimmer. It is at 4 1/4 right here because it's a 4 1/4 inch wide, and I'm gonna scoot it to 4, and I'm just cutting to my score line. I have to admit, I'm bad about cutting over, but it takes too long to do this with scissors. All right, so I'm at 4 1/4. I move it to 4 again, holding that together, and to the score line. And then you just take your scissors, get this out of the way. You just take your scissors and trim that extra piece like that off. That way you have a flip flap kind of thing that will go inside of your card. So you can do this up and down, see that? And you can decorative trim the bottom. You can make this much smaller. It doesn't matter. I just trimmed 1/4 inch off of each side. because I like to make panels and I just thought that would be easy. So I'm not going to do all of these right now, but I just wanted to show you that I'm going to put these, I have 4 of these more or less ready, so I'll put that in a pile. Now this one's super easy, this W fold. All you need is 4 1/4 by 11 folded in half, and then you need like maybe a 1-inch strip, like 1 by 11 that you're going to use. So let's cut 4 1/4 by 11. Again, 8 1/2 down to 4 1/4. There's 2, and bonus, you end up with, you might, if you're like me, if you use 12 by 12 or something, you can use your scraps as your 11-inch pieces, you know. And so it doesn't have to be exactly an inch. You just need strips that are 11-inch long. You know what I mean? Okay, so there's 2. Let me do 2 more. 11. I have this at 8 1/2. And remember, that's only because I don't have standard cardstock. You would just basically chop yours in half and you'd be ready. And then you need 1 by 11 pieces. So look in your scraps, see what you've got. These are not 1 inch. These are 3/4 of an inch, but I'm okay with that. I'll use that. That is all of our card bases. Now, what I'm going to do for these, and you don't need, these are all scraps that I am going to be able to use. Okay, I have no idea what I did with my bone folder. You guys probably see it. I don't. I'm just losing my mind, apparently. Hold on a sec. Seriously, it is gone. I have no idea. All right, well, I will continue on. I have to grab a different one. I don't know what I did with it. It's not in my pockets. It's not on the floor. I have another. I keep bone folders. It's weird, but I have tons of them. All right, again, I'm just gonna do that little quick press. Quick press. Quick press. And then I'm gonna stack them together. See how wrinkled and bumpy they are? They're nothing special there. But if I take my bone folder with them stacked and crease them, look at that. They're all beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this piece I am going to fold in half. And then I'm going to fold in half again, going towards the center. So here's this one. And here is this one. And that's all I need to do for each, you know, for each card you make like a W. That's why I called it a W card. Look, ta-da. And so then you have 4 of those. I'm seriously looking around to where I put my bone folder. Boy, is that weird. I'm like, I hope I didn't throw it in the trash or something weird. I just don't even see it. It's very strange. I'll find it. I'll unbury it here in a minute. It'll show up. Sorry, I'm doing 2 at a time here. That takes me a minute. Okay. All right, now I have these 4 cards all ready to go. Ta-da. I have 3 piles. I'm going to show you my piles. 1, 2, 3. Okay, moving my camera back. Now it's time to get out my cardstock pieces. These are the 3 cardstock pieces. Now, on each card, all of them have at least one panel that I want to cover. I mean, almost all of them have a standard front that I want to mat with cardstock. I could do the outsides, the insides, whatever, but I want to cut a bunch of panels, and I didn't count to see how many I needed. I am just taking this cardstock and stacking it up. And now these panels, these cards are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, very standard. To make these panels, I need them 1 size smaller, okay? I should probably not do 3 at a time. I can probably do 2 at a time. Anyway, so if I cut this at 5 1/2, flip and do, oh, I want it at 5 1/4, not 5 1/2. Let's do that, 5 1/4, and then flip, and then we're gonna do some 4-inch. I can do 1, 2, and 3, and I just want like that. Isn't that great? I'm gonna do this one too. 5 1/4. Turn it and go 4, 4, 4. Okay, so now I have 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many I have. I lost track. What did I get? 2 out of each sheet of paper, 3 out of each sheet of paper. So I have like 9 panels here. I know that's not going to be enough for 12 cards that basis that I cut. So I'm going to do a few more. And so I'm going to go ahead and do 5 1/4, flip, and do 4. There's 2. I'm going to keep that one whole for a minute. 5 1/4, and flip, and do 4. Okay, so now I have like, I know I have one of these for every card. I know I do, because I essentially cut 12 of them. I'm going to put these all in a pile. I'm not sorting them in any particular way. They're just stacked in a pile. These I'm going to use for smaller sizes in just a moment. Actually, let's do that now. So, for example, on this card right here, if you decide you want to do cardstock, so what I did was I did a piece of cardstock all over the cover, and then I didn't use any more cardstock on it. But on some of them, I made a panel for the flip flap. Not for all of them, but for some of them. So let's look at that flip flap thing. This panel is 3 1/2 by 10, and so this half of this is 5, so it'd be 5 by 3 1/2 is what I need, but I need it a 1/4 inch smaller because, so I'm going to do 5, I'm going to turn, and I'm going to go to 3 1/2. There's 1, 3 1/2. There's 2. Five, 3 1/2, 3, and 3 1/2, 4. So I only have 4 of those cards. So I can put those in my flap card pile. All right, do I need any cardstock for this one? I just need the cover really, because I can use pattern on the inside, so I don't need to cut any more cardstock for that. And this one with the weird flap, it'd be nice to have some cardstock for those. Let me see what I got here. What I did, I looked at it and I was like, it'd be nice to have some cardstock for some of the covers. how big is that cover? So I get out my little trusty ruler and just measure. You know, this is the piece that you can cut down to any size you want, right? So this one is 3 1/4 by 5. So I want it 1/4 inch smaller, which makes this 3 by 4 3/4. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this to 4 3/4, and I'm gonna cut a couple of 3-inch panels. So I have a couple, right? There's a couple. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that works. And then I have all these scraps. Now these scraps I'm gonna use. I told you, don't throw away all these little skinny, scrawny pieces, because we will use those when we decorate. Now we get to cut down patterns. Now, I like to go through and find the pieces that have the words and the extra things on them. I don't think I have any because I don't have oh, they're like this one. And I set this one aside because I might need that to be able to decorate my cards. I may use a circle punch and just use that, or I may use the whole panel. I'm not gonna write notes on here, but maybe I use this square and use one of my cool decorative scraps across the top with a sticker or something. See how it covers up notes? And then on the inside I have lines. I can just write, yeah, my little message or whatever. Be yourself. That is adorable. I'll probably use that whole panel. So those set aside, and then just kind of look at your papers and what you really like. I really like this. Now I need to cut some inside pieces for these, like decorative, smaller pieces. So these are, remember, 5 1/4 by 4. So we have to go one smaller, 1/4 inch smaller for these. So we are going to do, those were 5 1/4. We're going to do 5 by 4. Okay, 5, and it was 4, so we go 3 3/4. All right, and just start making a pile of those. You want to do, you know, look at what you got and make a variety of them. It's 5, so 4 3/4. Was it 4 3/4? I always have to check because while I'm talking, it's hard. 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. Whoosh. 3 3/4 by 5. There's 2. Let's see, what else do I want? These florals are really nice for stuff like that. 3 3/4 by 5. And I don't really worry too much about directional prints. But if you are making a single card and you are making the flap up and down or something, really do pay attention because it will matter when you put your card together. Even though I personally do not like this print, this is perfect for a card. It's a lot of little tiny images in one space. This one is my favorite, but it's too big for a lot of cards. So I have a tendency to use the busier side on these, so we'll see. Anyway, so I'm just cutting some of these down. Look at the hearts, isn't that cute? Let's see, 4 3/4, 3 3/4. That one's, I cut, I don't know, even smaller. Some of my panels are not the right size, I know. I love the black, so let's do that by 5, 3 3/4. Now you'll notice I have a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of stuff down here at the side. I'll show you what I do with that. Let me just cut just a couple more. Ooh, I love that. All right, So let's do that one. 5, 3 3/4. And let's do that one again. Yeah. 3 3/4. Now on your 6x6 pages, let me see if I have one that I kept. I already cut it. On your 6x6 pieces, there is a hole on the side, and you know what they want you to do is take it at 6 and just cut that strip off. I don't do that yet, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the rest of these whole for now, and let's just start putting together a card. Let me grab one of my templates. I have this stack. I have this stack. Okay, I'm gonna put my trimmer off to the side. I'll need it, but I can't put everything on camera, right? Boy, it's really bugging me out that I can't find that bone folder. Boy, that is so weird. It just disappeared. I am losing my mind. It's Friday. Okay, so I have parts, I have pieces. Here I have my template here, like that. And so now I'm just going to like assembly line putting some of these together, okay? So I have my trimmed pieces I just made. I have these pieces, and I don't even care what colors these are. I'm just going to put adhesive on a whole bunch of them. I have 4. And then I'm just gonna put this right in here. Just try to center it. There's 1. There's 2. See all my parts and pieces down here. I'm just stacking them up. Those. Okay, and 3. See, I don't love this green. I don't love it, but who cares? It's going to make a great card. It's going to end up looking amazing. Just wait and see. So, all right, so now I have these 4 bases basically done, and now I am ready to put this panel on, right? I can just center that. So now I can put the panels on just like this. I just center it. There's 1. Two. 3. Just make sure your flips go the right way. Boink, boink, like that. I mean, you know, it's easy to get them going the wrong direction. I can tell you that. Because, you know, when you're assembly lining things, it's like, oh yeah, I need to make sure that goes on right. Now, I have a tendency to use liquid glue because I find it even faster to do. All right, so now I have those 4 pieces together, and you know, I did cut some of these that I could put, you know, on here if I want, but I think I'm gonna hold off a minute and finish putting card bases on the other cards that I have. So I have my W cards. There's 4 of them. And I just want to make sure they're all opening the right direction. And, you know, I'm going to decide what color I want them. 1. Maybe I want this one black. 2. Anybody else got anything exciting happening today? I feel like my day is full between buying the Close to My Heart stuff, the plumber coming, the police was here this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, my day is crazy. I'm gonna use this ugly gray. I just want to show you. It doesn't have to be ugly. Okay, so there's those 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, those panels are done. Now the other ones that I cut, remember I didn't do all 4. These cards with the you know, the flip panel, I really only did 1, but I'm gonna go ahead and at least, you know, put that one together since I have it, right? So we're just gonna put a panel on. It doesn't matter which one at all. Okay, and maybe I'll put something on the flip. What do I want on the flip? Do I want one of these? Wow, that would look cool, wouldn't it? Ooh, neato. Yeah, I think I will. I think I'm gonna cut the bottom off of this a little bit. I just feel like it's long. Let me trim a bit off. When you do your flip, do it any way you want, you know what I mean? And then you can put parts and pieces on however you want. So like, if I put this yellow on, for example, like this, I still have this bottom that I can decorate, and I can, you know, when I go back to decorate, this is where I'll take one of my scraps like this and put it on there, you know. And I'll keep that because I might use it. You've seen me use it. Or I could do the bees. Oh, that's cute too. Decisions. Now see, the outside of the card has yellow. I like the bees. I'm going to do the bees. All right. And so this is the kind of thing I do now. I go through and I'm like, okay, I want a panel or a decoration for the front. Now I go ahead and just pick a panel of some kind. I really like this black. That is so pretty. Yep, I think I'm going to do that. And I can wiggle it into place. Like that. There's one. And now all this needs now is decoration. And so it just has your basic basis, right? I know the police came by, but they were interviewing some people who lived across the street. I think what happened is, remember my experience. See how that ugly gray becomes like a very cool looking card with that, and then I can put a strip down the side. It's cool. Anyway, yeah, I had to call the police a couple weeks ago because in general Champaign-Urbana and everywhere, people are like doing that thing where they walk by cars and try to open the doors, or, you know, they're trying to break in to cars. And I caught a guy doing that. Yep. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Ooh, yes, yes. Okay. So I am just going to trim this down. Keep. Anyway, I went around to I called the police and they took my statement and stuff. My daughter was freaking out. She's like, Mom, you don't know how dangerous these people are. You're crazy. Now I'm worried they're going to come back. And I said, well, if they come back, they'll probably come back now when everybody's asleep, because they know they have a busybody in the neighborhood. And so apparently last night they had some car broken into. I'm like, not a surprise to me. I told everybody, lock your doors. All right, so there's that. Now see, this is where you then go back to here and you add be yourself, or, you know, but this is how now I'm just going to go through all my cards and add, you know, another layer. I'm just going to add an extra something on there. Ooh, that's really pretty. Do I want that? It doesn't matter. What's nice about, even though the solids are kind of boring, one of the things that's really nice about the solids is they look really nice when you put the busier papers on top. So like if I wanted to, you know, put this across the bottom, for example, or off the side like this, you know, it really pops that image out. Look at that. It's perfect. It's the perfect size. I just use scraps. Now on the inside, this is where the W fold goes. So let me show you how that works. You don't want to put your W down until you put something down for your panels. And ideally, you use like 2 of the same panel, right? But I'm not sure I have 2 of the same panel because I didn't cut all my papers, remember? So I think I'm just going to do it off like this. It won't be perfect, but I do really like that beehive paper. It's a little crooked. There we go. There's one. All right. All right. So see how we have, like we have an outside, we have an inside. Now we put the little W down. Now you want it to be like a W, okay? And basically I'm going to fold it back up. It's a W, and I'm going to put glue on this side. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to put glue or adhesive on this side. Now, it's still a W. I'm putting it here to the edge of the card, and then I'm going to fold the card and push, push, push. Okay. And then what happens is you end up with this piece. Now, there's 2 ways. If you do it this way, your card will lay a little more flat. If you leave a little gap and just put it like to the edge, it pops up more. But you just want to make sure it doesn't show outside of your card. So that's why I put it to the edge for the most part like that. Now when you're doing the inside piece, now see, this is where those cool stickers and all those little things come into play. Like you could fussy cut that out and you could put that on there, and you could make this a queen bee is a weird message, gotta agree. But if it was a happy birthday card, queen bee is fine. So you could be, I think I did one of those with queen bee and made it into a birthday card. Let me see. Like this one, I did 4, I just cut 2x2 squares. And then I just had a bunch of 2x2 squares in front of me. And then I was able to just put them on here. I put this one on black just so it would stand out. This is just a little sticker. This is a sticker. And this was one of the ephemera pieces that I used. I left one blank so I have a place to write. You don't have to decorate every inch of the card, right? But see how fun that is? Scrap of paper, 2 panels, plus one of those like PML style cards right there. I mean, really, really cute and so easy when you have like a whole pack. You could do this with one of the Close to My Heart packs pretty easily too. So, you know, 2x2 squares, just to make these pop against that black and white, I added some the cardstock scraps, you know, to it. Ephemera, a sticker, the queen bee, beautiful, be happy. Happy bee day. Cute, right? Okay. You get the idea. Anyway, that is basically how I decorated all of my cards. So I just go in and I make panels and, you know, decorate from there. Now, on this card, once, like, let's just say, I want to decorate this panel somehow. I look at my, this is where those ones that have the holes in them, you can use that with the hole in it because this panel will lay on top of it and cover up that little hole from your 6x6 paper. So if you, for example, cut this panel down right here and put it on here, that hole will be covered up. So that's why I'm like, you don't have to cut those off. It is really nice to have extra pieces and parts and things to decorate with like that. So let's see, what do I want? I'm looking to see what all I have. I love the little beehives, isn't that cute? Of course, the wrong direction right now. So I need a vertical. I think I'm going to use that. And then I just, you know, cut it down to 4 inches. Add that piece. And I'm going to scooch it out just a little bit. And then this goes on here. So you only want adhesive on half, right? Like that. And then it just lays on there. Try to center it on the overall card. Don't try. I mean, it's hard to like center it here or whatever, but just try to make it look as straight as possible so that it will flip, flip. And now you can decorate your flaps however you want. So like on this one, I put, on a lot of them, I took like a piece. I loved this, for example. I might just put this here, or I like the black with it. So I might just put a little scrap right there. Some of the little pieces that I trimmed off, let me grab my scrap bag. I had, you know, gobs and gobs of these little scraps like this. I might go, oh, I really like, you know, these little bees and put that there. It just, you know, depends on how you want to decorate this. And I really like the little panels. I don't have very many of them cut because I use them, but you see where I'm going with this, right? You can do anything you want. So that is, see, that one has a hole in it, but look, if I cut it right at the hole, I'll keep that, and I can just put it right there. I could dovetail the bottom of it and make it like a little flap, you know? Look how pretty that is. And then I just need my cool message there. And then I need a panel. This is screaming for like a black or a dark green panel or something that'll stand out a little bit. And my panels that I have are a little small. So I need to get back into my paper and cut a few more panels. Let's see, I got a lot. These are from the 12 by 12 papers, but see, like I could do the checkers. Checkers, see, they're kind of big. I do really like this though. Isn't that pretty? Cool, cool, cool. Let me cut that. So I need 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. I'm just gonna cut that and put that there. And the reason I cut it small is so that I can put something at the top, maybe a sticker or, you know, let's see what I got. What I've got. I have a lot. I don't have a lot of sticker left, but you see what I mean. Like there's borders that you could put across the top there. You know, whatever you like. You could make the border just a little piece of black. Like that. Close enough. I'm not the most perfect cutter when I cut like that, but I don't think anybody's really gonna notice how crooked I am. But anyway, I'll put it this way, it won't show as much. I don't know why, but it doesn't. There's that. Okay, so then I can put, you know, a little sticker, a little something right there. Fun, 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 fun. And then, you know, when you have these little bottoms like that, that's where you can get into the scraps, all these little tiny scraps that you have, and just put one at the bottom to the side, you know, just something. Use them up, because you're just gonna, if you're like me, you're just gonna throw away what's left anyway. So you might as well use them, and you make your cards really special. Here I used a little scrap of bee, and then this was one of those journaling panels, and if you look close, I cut it to cut the words off of it. So it doesn't line up perfectly, but you don't really notice it on the card. But I liked the little bee that was on it. I popped up this little bee ephemera. And see on the inside panel, what my plan was to get out my bee stamps and just stamp a whole bunch of them and then add one to each card. And then just kind of decorate the inside. Cool, right? So, sweet like honey. There I used the smaller print of the black and white check. It's a lot more effective than the giant 12 by 12. So I wanted to use up some of the words. Just be you. Be humble, be true, be wild, be you. And nice little note card. All right. So you can see here I used a panel and then I just put a strip over it. This was a sticker. And I just added a little tag. So again, I used a strip. I dovetailed the end because it wasn't very long. It had something on it. These little scraps made little flags. There was a couple of circle ephemeras, and one of them was this was a sticker, I think, and it had lines on it for journaling, but I just covered it up. It's not that noticeable that there are lines on it for journaling, right? Some of the other things that I decorated. Those little squares are so cute. I think I used all the little squares that I thought were normal. Some of them are weird, but most of them are okay. So, all right, that is what I have. So think about how you can assembly line your paper kits. Maybe you have one where you've used all that you want to use out of it, and all that's left is like weird stuff that you would not put on a scrapbook page or something. See if it'll work to build some base cards so that you don't have to use every sticker and every piece. But before you throw away all your little scraps like this, think about if you can make some cards. I know JJ would really appreciate it. These little cards, see, like this one has that circle in it from the where I tore it out of the book, and I just left it on there. I could cut it off, but if I put this here and then use like a piece over the top, so it's like 2 layers, it looks really good, and it covers up that hole anyway. So cool. Or, if I put it this direction, of course it's off direction, but if I put it down where the hole is down here, when I put my other flap on, it'll cover it. So, all right. Okay, that is what I have today. Have fun shopping today. I want to hear what everybody gets, what you're going for. If the site crashes, if you're able to get through, I want to hear. I'm so excited. It's going to be a fun day of crazy. So I hope I get that game piece. That's the game stamp is the #1 thing I'm going for. #2 are those dogs. They're so cute. So, all right. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Bye-bye.